Welcome to the Anchor Your Retirement podcast. I'm your host, hanging out in chilly Kansas City, and my buddy and pal and co-host, Tony Shore, is up in what I think is probably even chillier Minnesota, right?
Yeah, I mean, for this time of year, it's about average right now, and we had an
Mm-hmm.
unusually warm beginning to fall, so I can't complain, although it's very dark and drizzly out and cold today, which, is tough, but
We finally traded the dark and drizzly for some sunshine, but we're supposed to have our first hard freeze this weekend. So you will find me in my garden picking a bunch of unripened tomatoes
oh
and getting,
no.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I overdid it with tomato plants in the garden this year. So
Mm.
it's been one of those things where we've had a lot of tomatoes. I've given a lot of tomatoes away. I probably
So it's
have
not
more
your
to
whole
give away.
crop that's
No, oh
ruined.
no.
It's just like
Oh
some
no.
tail enders that, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I
that's good.
mean, and I had several sauce tomato plants that I put in.
Hmm.
So I've made a lot of tomato sauce. I've made a lot of pizza sauce.
I'd
I'm
like to try
ready.
that pizza sauce. I make a pretty mean homemade pizza.
I have heard that. We've
Yeah.
discussed that before
Yes, we have. Yeah.
because, my fiance has the pizza steel that goes in the oven and the flour that came from
Yep.
Italy and
Eric's into
all
it,
the
isn't he?
things. He
Yeah,
is.
that's
He
good. I like
is.
to hear that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. He's even a little more into it than I am. I don't quite go to that length, but I do make some pretty mean pizza dough, and I don't make my own sauce.
Mhm.
But I haven't gotten to that point yet. But maybe I'll just use your sauce, and that'll
There we
that'll be
go.
good.
I'll bring
Uh,
a jar up when I come up next week.
Oh, that'd be great. If you have extra, that'd be awesome. And if Eric doesn't mind, does he like your sauce?
He does. He really, the biggest thing that when we were first dating, I make an amazing chocolate chip cookie.
Okay, that's
Okay.
awesome. I believe it.
And
You're a
and
baker, I know.
I am. I have been since I was like 6 or 7, and that's not
Yep.
an exaggeration. And so I made him chocolate chip cookies. And I'm like, okay, so whose are better, mine or yours? And he's like, mine. And I'm like, that was
Uh-oh.
the first time I'd ever heard that. I mean, it was a good thing he had already made me a prime rib, or those might have been fighting words.
Well, yeah, he's taking his life into his own hands. He had no
No, he's
idea.
just extremely confident in what he does.
Wow. Yeah, wow.
So,
He's at least he's being honest with you.
yes,
He
he
doesn't
is.
sugarcoat it, right?
No, no pun intended
He's
there.
not leading you down the primrose trail sugar coated with the cookies. Well, hey, we're having fun talking about that. We had fun talking about some book series we've been reading before
Yes.
that, and talking about cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria.
What an appropriate comment on Halloween.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm always ready to quote yesterday. If we'd recorded the show yesterday, I had a sport coat on and just a Ghostbusters T-shirt. That's all I was wearing.
How perfect is that? I mean, it's like a Bill Murray kind of day. That's all I can say.
It's a Bill Murray kind of a day, And I love that was your whole plan, Ray. Get her. That was your plan. Get her. And then another great Ghostbusters line is. The God asks him,
Are you a god?
Are you a god? And he goes,
I was just
no.
thinking of that line.
And Ray, next time somebody asks you if you're a god, you say
yes.
That is so funny. That movie
Okay.
is full of such a great lines.
It is. But one thing that's not funny about today
Yeah.
is that we are in day 31 of the federal government shutdown. The Senate went home last night, so there is no chance of a resolution happening today
How is that?
or
How
over
do
the
they
weekend.
let them do that? Why
I
do they
don't
let them
know.
leave and take a break when the government is shut down?
I don't know, but I really think there needs to be a grassroots effort that we amend the Constitution
Yep.
to to say that when we are in a federal government shutdown, number one, everybody who's considered essential and who has to report to work continues to get paid. And number two, that when the government is shut down, that Congress is to remain in session until the situation is resolved. And by remain in session, I'm talking break out the cots and the airplane blankets and the uncomfortable pillows.
Order in the delivery food and they stay in.
Let's put a couple vending machines in the back of the chamber.
Yeah, let's not make it too easy on them.
No, because, our country is at a standstill in some ways. And unfortunately, with this shutdown, it looks like it is about to affect the working poor and people who are the most in need.
Yeah,
at this moment, because
most vulnerable and people who are hard workers like TSA agents and have thankless jobs to begin with, and then they have to go to work and they're not getting paid, and then the WIC program or the food stamp program.
WIC is still continuing.
But
it's being funded by tariffs. The SNAP benefits, the supplemental nutrition. Yes. Is what is running out of money tonight.
And not being funded.
And not being funded.
That's right.
Correct.
Not WIC, but SNAP. I always get those two confused.
They're very similar programs. Yeah. So it's an easy thing to do. But one thing that is not shut down with the government, and one thing that is not going to be delayed despite the government shutdown, is federal open season. And by the time
open enrollment.
Yes.
So the shutdown, you're saying the shutdown doesn't affect federal benefit open enrollment period, which is right now.
Correct. Right? And the part of the government that handles the federal benefits is funded separately by a trust and is not an appropriation line item. So they have money to continue right now.
Okay.
The important thing is if you're furloughed and you can't get to your computer and can't get logged in, it's probably going to be messier than normal.
So they're not delaying it, but they probably also haven't yet extended it.
No, they have not extended the deadline on it either. It's going to start November 10th, and it runs through the full second week in December.
Okay.
So it's not like they do this all in a week. They spread it. You have a 4-week window.
Yeah, you have a month-long window, but if November 10th the government's still shut down and people can't access their computer, or November 20th, or December 1st.
Or December 5th, yeah.
Or December 10th, then it's too late.
And, if you're already enrolled in the health insurance, which you probably are as a federal employee, if you don't make any changes, your health insurance plan will continue with the one that you were enrolled in this year. Premiums are going to go up a little bit. Aren't everybody's. But if you are in any kind of flex spending, whether that's for child and dependent care or for medical, you have to re-enroll in that program every year. That's not going to be an automatic renewal.
Okay.
So
yeah, it's good to know these things. I had no idea. Boy, when you said, Tony, I want to call the show "No Delay for Federal Open Season," and I'm like, whoa. It's open season. Did you have an Elmer Fudd? It's open season.
You had an Elmer Fudd moment, didn't you?
I'm like, don't our federal employees have it tough enough right now, Barb, without declaring open season on them?
No, they call their open enrollment period open season. So anybody reading that title is going to know that it applies. Any federal employee is going to know what I'm talking about.
I know. I'm teasing.
Everybody else is going to scratch their head a little bit. What can I say? All of this to say, if you need to make changes, opm.gov is still operating.
opm.gov,
which is the Office of Personnel and Management. You can go through there to find out what your health insurance options are for your region. And if you need to make changes, because health insurance plans make changes to their formularies quite
Oh yeah.
frequently.
And this
So,
year, everything has gone up, and you better review where you're at. It's not a situation where I'll just do the same thing. You better look at what's going on, because across the board, pretty much with health insurance and benefits, things have changed this year.
and part of the reason why the premiums are going up is the expanded use of the GLP-1 drugs for
Yes.
weight management and
Yeah.
weight loss. Those are not inexpensive drugs.
No.
So insurance companies are taking their premiums up to help offset some of that cost. If you're somebody that is on a federal employee health insurance plan and you're on a number of prescription medications, it's really important to log in and make sure that your current plan hasn't made changes to that formulary and that all of your prescription medications are covered.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not, you either need to talk to your doctor about an alternative medication, or you need to choose an alternative plan that covers those medications.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, you really need to make sure you look at the formularies and what's covered and what's not, and the prices. You don't want to get hit with a big surprise, and you want to make sure your medicine is covered. I know somebody who went through the enrollment period at their company, and it's already done. They weren't a federal employee, it was a private company, but their open enrollment period for employee benefits closed, and they signed up. And then they went to get their drug, and they said, this drug is not covered under your current plan.
Ouch.
And it's thousands of dollars.
Ouch.
So they're trying to get that figured out. But, yeah, I mean, you got to be careful, especially this year. I can't say that enough. I know this because I'm dealing with it all with my parents and Medicare.
Yes.
And I know people who get their insurance, they're business owners like yourself or independent. They're not with a big company or the federal government. So then they go through the exchange, the Affordable Care Exchange, and those costs have all gone up for multiple reasons. And health insurance companies are raising the rates pretty much across the board from what I can see.
They are. It's come out that on the healthcare exchange, premiums are going up in the neighborhood of 26%, which is a pretty big hit for a lot of people. And in the federal programs, the average that they're going up is somewhere between 9 and 10%, I think. A little bit higher for Postal Service employees. They're on a slightly different benefit structure than the rest of the federal employees are, just because we need to make things a little bit more complicated.
Yeah, I'm thinking, why are they...
Yeah.
There should be one benefits program for all federal employees, you would think. But
well, from your lips to God's ears, but what do we know?
Yeah.
The other thing to remember with the shutdown right now is that all of the flexible spending accounts have been suspended. So
for
if you're
federal employees?
For federal employees that are furloughed and not being paid, because they aren't earning the paycheck to take the money out for the flexible spending accounts.
Sure.
I don't know if they are going to, depending on how long this shutdown continues, extend the deadline for using those funds. And I don't know if legally they can extend the use of those use or lose funds.
There's just more and more complications and problems being caused that I'm learning about every day.
They are, for those listening,
primarily, and because of the government shutdown.
And, for those that are listening to this podcast, do us all a favor, call your Congress people, and especially call your senators and tell them that you want the government to be reopened and that they can sort out their differences on these other things in other places. As we are recording this podcast, the president has come out and is asking Senate Republicans to do away with the filibuster so that we can get the government reopened. In my opinion, I don't think that makes sense. And I think that the filibuster was built into the Constitution for very specific reasons. And I think that we need to honor what that thought process was. So I'm not advocating that
Well,
we
yeah, I
abolish the
think
filibuster.
both sides should compromise. I don't understand why. It used to work that way, right?
It used to work that way. It used to be that everybody came and met in the middle. But as we have seen, political ideology on both sides of the aisle is getting so much more extreme and is getting so much more polarized.
Polarized is the word, yeah.
That to agree with somebody in the opposite party is almost perceived as a betrayal or a defection.
Yeah.
Rather than a willingness to come together and try to meet in the middle.
Yeah.
Which is, and unfortunately, it is at the expense of some of the most vulnerable people in our population.
Yeah. I mean, I remember not that long ago, people like John McCain and Al Franken from my home state of Minnesota, they were working on a bill together. They came together on things, for early childhood education, help with that. All of these things, and that just, I don't see that nowadays. It's just, it's a betrayal. You'd never ever do anything with someone from the other side. It's crazy.
It is heartbreaking that we have gotten to the point that we are this polarized where
we don't have moderates anymore, like a John McCain. There are no more moderates. It's crazy. So anyway, I don't mean to get political, but just on both sides of the fence, they need to get the government shutdown fixed one way or the other. So
right. And as I tell my clients, when I step across the threshold in my office, I'm politically neutral because it's my job to look at what the numbers are telling me, not what the sound bites are telling me.
Right. Not what one news network or news organization is telling you, or one spin from one political party or the next, because they both do it, right?
And everybody does. And ultimately, with whatever is going on in the chambers of Congress, my greater concern is how it affects everybody outside those chambers of Congress. And with having worked with federal employees for well over a decade at this point and helping them with creating their retirement plans, their financial plans, planning for these contingencies of a government shutdown, it breaks my heart to see some of what's going on here. And, we have a lot of very hardworking people in our federal government that we owe beyond a debt of gratitude right now because they keep showing up even when they don't know when the paycheck is going to come in.
Yeah. And that can only continue for so long without, it affecting their work and their attitude and their families. I mean, something's got to be done. Now, Congress should not be paid during a government shutdown. They should not be paid. I mean, and not that will really hurt them. They can get their money from their lobbyist pals, and they're going to go out and get their money from their lobbyist pals and their inside information with stocks. That's how they become rich. But
but I think if they're going to continue to take a paycheck, that they need to be donating that paycheck to other organizations
like
that
to help
SNAP.
Billie Eilish just did you read today, this morning, or yesterday what Billie Eilish did?
I did not.
$10 million. She profits millions from her tour.
Yes,
all 10 million from her tour going to for food benefit SNAP to help relief where SNAP was, and food shelves, all of it.
Yeah, Harvesters is the regional food pantry here in Kansas City.
Yeah.
And the amount that they would need dollar-wise to replace the SNAP benefits for 1 month for the area that they serve in the Kansas City metro area for 1 month exceeds their annual budget.
Wow. That's crazy.
It is. It is. So, if you're listening to this podcast and you have a little extra to give right now,
everybody should pitch in.
Yeah.
But yeah, they should. The Congress, if they are getting paid, should just donate the money that they would make during this time or are making. I don't know if they're getting paid, but they
They
should
are,
don't.
yeah,
They should.
Congress is getting paid, their staffers are not.
That's
And
crazy.
well,
You
and
mean
the
the
thing
ones that
to,
actually read through those bills and have to
yeah,
do all the work while they're golfing or hanging out with lobbyists? That's awesome. That's great to
and
hear.
the other thing to realize is that when the government does reopen and these federal employees that haven't been getting paid get that back pay, it's usually not one big lump sum. That they have to pass different appropriations bills to get that back pay out. So it's
Mm.
actually going to, in the words of a former federal employee who went through this before, it kind of trickles in a little bit here and there, and you don't even ever really know if you got everything paid back that you were owed.
Terrible. Terrible.
So
Well, this show's been kind of a bummer.
it has been, and I don't like to, I would rather be sitting here talking about how my Chiefs did an absolutely wonderful job of dominating the Commanders the other night after that
Yeah.
first quarter.
Kelsey had some good plays there.
He did. He had his 100th career touchdown
Yeah.
and tied Priest Holmes for the number of touchdowns within the Chiefs franchise.
Yeah.
So, those were exciting things to see. And I hope that next week when I'm recording with you face to face, because I'll be up in Minnesota,
Yeah. We're recording
that
in
we can
person.
talk about how the government is finally reopened.
Wouldn't that be great? Every
That would
week, I'm hoping
be
that's what
an
we talk
amazing thing.
about. But
Yeah, and every week I hope that when we're recording stuff about the shutdown, that it's obsolete by the time it actually goes to air.
that would be awesome. And
It would
next week,
be.
we'll try to have a more upbeat show.
We will. But in the meantime, if you're a federal employee and you don't know what your options are, you don't know how to handle the shortfall with your cash flow, you can always reach out to us at bgwealthmanagement.com. Not that we're going to give you the cash, but we can help you identify the resources,
Right.
help you figure out the TSP loan process, help you sort through some of these things to try to ease the burden a little bit. And you can do that by going to our website, like I said, bgwealthmanagement.com, or you can call our offices at area code 913-553-6222. We can also help you go through the process of evaluating your health insurance options for next year, figuring out if you should move over to a health savings account high deductible plan or stay with your traditional PPO plan. This applies whether you are an active employee or a retiree. For retirees, this is your open season too. If you know you opted out of the dental and vision and you need to get back into the dental and vision program, now's the time to do it, folks.
Yeah. All right. And I know that you've worked with so many federal employees over the years, Barb, and helped them figure out their benefits and all of that. So during this federal open season for federal benefits, they should pick up the phone. I'll give the number one more time, 913-553-6222. And the website is bgwealthmanagement.com. Barb, great show today. A lot of great information. It was good in the information because troubling times for some folks out there. But get the help you need. Don't be afraid to ask.
That's what we're here for.
I think that's really important. I want to thank our listeners and viewers for tuning in. Thank you, Barb, for a great show. And that
Thank
does
you,
it.
Tony.
Yeah, this is it. Anchor your retirement. We'll be back next week.
We'll see you soon.